is Arts Alive. I'm Linda Philippi, and my guest today is Kelly Greenwich. Kelly lives here in McMinnville, and she is the chair of this year's, again, chair of Paper Gardens, which is the literary competition sponsored by the Arts Alliance of Yamhill County. So welcome.
Thank you.
Doing it for the second year, huh?
Right.
Good.
Easier this year.
Exactly, and I know you and I had talked a little bit about sort of the history of Paper Gardens, and you did a little digging, and you want to talk about what you found?
Sure. Well, I know that it's in its 19th year, so this year. So next year will be a big year, I think 20 years. And the founder of it was a woman named Rachel Bouchard, and she was a poet and a writer who believed that there was a place in Yamhill County. She was from McMinnville, but that there was a place to encourage and recognize writers of the county. So she started the contest, and she believed that writing was a lonely craft, a lonely job to have. So she thought it would bring a little community of writers together, which it does. Last year we had an awards ceremony. It happens every year, and we had 144 people come.
That's amazing.
So that was really great, really wonderful.
I think that you would be amazed at how it's grown.
Yeah.
I know that probably not too long before she passed away, I interviewed her for the Arts Alliance newsletter at the time. That had to have been in the 90s, I'm sure.
Probably,
late 90s maybe. And that's one of the things that she spoke about, was just the fact that the other arts, especially the visual arts, get so much attention, and yet, writing is a very important art, and there's not enough focus. So sometimes, especially maybe for young people, or, it's like, well, painters get all that, or actors.
It's visual.
Yeah, right. But what about the writer, or, especially about the poet who's really sort of out there alone?
Yeah,
So,
we get a lot of poetry. Last year we had almost 400 submissions.
That's amazing.
And I think the year before they had nearly that, or if not more. That's a lot of pieces to go over. So
absolutely. Yeah, for the judge especially. I mean,
well, yeah, the judge is the one. They're all read blind, so when writers submit to Paper Gardens, they don't put their name on their pieces of work at all. They put their names only on the registration form. And then I code everything according to age group and genre and some other thing numerically. It's my own special code that I know, and I give blind copies to the judge. And then he picks from every category, and then I attach the name back to it when we let everybody know who won.
And so it goes from what, age 6 to all the way up to whenever
100, whatever.
And I think it's really incredible how some teachers really seem to embrace it.
They do.
And you can see, 20 kids from a class will alternate something.
Right.
And maybe the rest of it is pretty sporadic throughout the kids section. But some teachers really get behind that, and I think it's amazing.
Yeah. It's really, it's an event that is looked forward to by a lot of teachers, because it's I think it may be one of the only local events that recognizes our writers. They may send things out to different books and publications, but last year I think we had 30 haikus about cougars, which was, really fun. And,
cougar the animal.
The cougar the animal.
Not the older lady.
Right.
Okay.
I wouldn't know about the older lady
so
one.
Maybe that was an assignment sort of thing.
Exactly. And they're so fun to read. They're really... I know that our judge, he's selective. That was part of Rachel Bouchard's request, I guess, was that the judges always be someone that was recognized in high academics for their art of writing. So the judges are pretty great, published people. And I know it's hard for our judge last year. He was saying there's so many good ones it was hard to choose. But on the other hand, if in a category there were none that really grabbed him, he has the ability to not give first, second, third places. Maybe there was just a first place in that category. So I think you can feel really honored if your piece gets chosen, that it's been evaluated by somebody who knows.
Yeah, somebody
and the
who's
written word.
discerning enough to have waded through a lot of these over the years. And,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
have you ever submitted?
I did submit a few years ago, and didn't win. But you know, for me, it was the act of submitting. There's a formal step that happens when you write all the time, but then when you actually collect yourself or collect your work, you know, you've edited it, you've spruced it up, and then you actually stamp it and send it out. That's a whole different thing.
Mm-hmm.
As rejection is, as a writer, there's so much rejection. You know, that was probably one of my first rejections. I think Susan Sokol-Blosser won the thing. So I felt happily that, you know, I knew that she'd written before. And but it was a good process as a writer to have a place to submit, I think. So, and after I finish coordinating it, I'll always submit. I think it's a great contest, and maybe someday I'll win, so we'll see.
Yeah, you never know.
Yeah.
Do you find that you get more children or more adult submissions?
Definitely more children. And I think it's because of two things. One, the classroom teachers use it as a thing in their classroom, a goal. I also think many teachers are attuned to really strong writers in their classes, and because some teachers only send in 2 or 3 from their classrooms. So you know it wasn't a classroom assignment. They're you know, kind of recognizing their strong writers. Second, with the children, I think that we get homeschoolers that use it too as a writing goal. So, yeah, and then we have a young adult category, and we get less in that category, but still we get a few. And then adults is the smallest amount that we have submitting, but I hope every year that grows. This year it grew, but if you're an adult writer, be bold. Send it to us.
Really, you have nothing to lose.
Nothing to lose.
Because the fact is people do not get a personalized rejection letter, do they?
No, they used to, but this year, in fact, we're changing that. And I think this is a really good thing. This is actually in keeping with our age of electronics. We'll post on the Arts Alliance website the winners, and I'll notify the winners. But it's taking the responsibility off of maybe the Arts Alliance or one person to notify all the people who didn't win, because often they're hard to get a hold of. If it's a whole classroom of children, you don't know every child's email or home address. And last year we would let the teacher know to let the children know, and then, you know, it's just going to be a little easier to put the responsibility on the writer to find out, which I think...
Go to the website.
Go to the website.
Find out if you...
Right, yeah. Well, they'll know if they won, because I'll be calling everybody because I need the copy for the book. But, you know, and it says all this on the entry form. So people know.
Kelly, I know that the deadline's coming up really quick. Do you want to talk about what the deadline is?
The deadline is next week from this airing, which is February 15th.
Okay.
And just postmarked by that date. And, you know, I know that that's probably close to this airing, but for every year, if you're a writer, you know, sometimes it takes a while to get your piece ready. Maybe you have something ready that you can send in, but know that next year the deadline's going to be mid-February again. I think we're on this cycle of kind of that academic year where it was publicized in November and then but the deadline's always in February.
And you want to talk again about, you've got prose.
Prose, which can be fiction or nonfiction, a short story, and then we have poetry, and there are 4 categories for that. There's traditional, free verse, haiku, and poetry of place. And that's an intriguing category that I would say we need more submissions.
Okay.
Because poetry of place is anything about Yamhill County. And of course the writer will decide what place means to them. If it's writing about the banks of the Yamhill River, or about the clothesline in their backyard.
Or their favorite coffee shop.
Their favorite coffee shop. It could be those lights that are so gorgeous on 3rd Street every year. You know, there's anything like that.
So the fact is, I mean, there are a lot of different categories that a person could say, well, in theory, they could submit something in every category if they wanted to.
Well, they're limited to 3 submissions in poetry, and then 1 in the writing.
Okay. And is there a limit on the short stories or a word count or?
Yeah, there is. I knew you were going to ask
Oh,
me.
it's okay.
I think it's, I want to make sure I get it right. I should know this by heart, but let me just check. For poetry, there's a 40-line limit.
Okay.
Haiku, of course, defines itself. For the prose, 2,000 words or less.
That's quite a bit, though.
It is quite a bit. It seems to be plenty. And then when we have our reading, the first place winners in every category read, and if it's a poem, they read the entire poem. If it's a story, generally they just read the first page, in order to get the evening to go by. So, and that's a really fun night, even if you didn't win. I think just coming to hear the judge is always a writer, I think, would be fair to say, and certainly our judge for this year, Charles, is a very entertaining poet, so I think everybody adored him last year.
And I think it's really fun to hear the kids read their work.
Oh,
I mean,
gosh, yeah.
because I don't know how you were as a kid, but when I was that age, I was completely had the worst stage fright of all.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, book report day, I'd lay in my bed and think, I don't want to go to school, I don't feel good, I'm sick, I have to go up and read in front of people, oh my God. It was the worst thing in the world. I don't know what happened, obviously something did. Yeah. But I look at these little kids going up there and they're so poised and they're so, they're just so self-assured, and I think, gosh, where does that come from at that age? It's so amazing,
They're rock stars.
They really are.
Their whole body language changes, and they straighten up, and they just...
there's more
really
TV shows
lovely.
now, more like American Idol, I think.
It is. Maybe they want to perform.
It's the performance gene, which maybe wasn't so prevalent when we were young.
Well, I was always shy and bookish. I would hide behind my hair.
Yeah.
And some of the adults, too. One man, I'm sorry, I don't remember his name, but the name of his work was Garage Sale Blues, and he got up and he read like he'd been in Hollywood for years and years. And it was just really entertaining and
fun.
lovely. It's a whole other part of presenting your work.
And where are you doing the...
This is going to be at the community center.
Okay.
That's where we did it last year, and it worked out well. And it'll be the night, it's on April 13th, Friday the 13th, which is a great night to come listen to readers. But it's going to piggyback on the Terroir Festival, so that the next day, then, of course, I mean, if you want a great literary weekend,
absolutely,
come to the readings and then come to the Terroir Festival the next day. And our judge, Charles, as I had mentioned to you before, he is going to be reading and entertaining us, helping me to announce the winners and listen to them. And I believe he's teaching a poetry workshop at the Terroir Festival.
That's going to be wonderful.
Yeah. He's taught me before, so he's really a great teacher as well. I took a class from him, a workshop at Fish Trap, which is a writers' conference, and he's really fun.
Yeah, somebody like that always makes it's like it gives you a little kickstart into,
it does.
some new ideas, maybe just a little bit different perspective on something that you can bring to your own work, I think.
He is, as I mentioned, he was a horticulturist for 25 years, so he comes with his fleece jacket on and, pretty relaxed, and so it makes you feel like you can write because, he's just a normal guy. Well, a lot of writers are that way anyway, but Charles comes with possibly a little dirt under his fingernails from his own gardening. Who knows? But it's perfect for paper gardens, I think.